Is this the best day in Seattle sports history? Like, I don't know how to feel right now. It might
No,
be the best day. Go
it's
ahead.
like the penultimate. Do you like that? It's like
Yeah,
would
yeah,
be the
that's good.
penultimate best day,
Yeah.
right? Because
I
they
think I'm
didn't
mixing it
win
up.
the championship,
Yeah, Kev, I
but
think I'm mixing it up with the greatest day in wait for it, Seattle sports, Seattle Seatown sports history.
I got it. I
Because
got
here
it.
we are. It's Kevin and Brian again. It's episode 83, the ironically Ricardo Lockett episode. We'll talk about that
Wow, we
maybe
just
in a
went
second.
straight there.
Jarick Young, big fumble recovery, right?
Yep.
We're going to talk about the Seahawks today, but we also, you got to stay around. The Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. That is amazing. We got to let that sink in for a second. But we also interviewed Olympians on this episode.
It's
I,
crazy. What
I
are we
mean,
doing?
we're at
Do
our
we
peak.
do we
We're
have
at
we're
our
like
peak.
the curlers. We have day jobs, but we also have a podcast,
It's
right? Like
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Podcast is catching steam in the high school community that I'm involved in. It's amazing. So here we go, Kev. Let's just soak it in for a sec. Your Seattle Seahawks, everyone who listens, Seattle Seahawks,
yeah.
are going to the Super Bowl.
Do you want to know something funny?
Please tell me.
I am also going to the Super Bowl.
You're doing it?
I'm doing it.
Let's go, baby. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. How far away is it from your house?
It's like 15 minutes.
That's amazing.
I bought the tickets yesterday.
You did not.
Yes.
That's awesome. Kev.
Yeah. I put down a little $5 bet, so $15 win parlay with the Ken Walker anytime touchdown and Seahawks covering.
Yeah.
Will work my way to pay off the ticket.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's covering. I by the way, I looked up the prices. So Dana said, "Are you going?" I was like, "It's not possible." It is in the old stomping grounds as a Santa Clara graduate, though. Kev, do I have it right? You may not know this. The stadium is built on the old Six Flags property. Is that true?
I believe
Do you know
that's
that?
true.
Okay.
And then there's still the Great America right there.
Okay.
That was supposed to close, but I think it's still open for some reason.
Okay.
But
So it's somewhere
it's
near
kind
that.
of like, yeah, and I've been there several times. I've been there for the Pac-12 championship in 2019. I've been there for some Seahawks Niners games. I've been there for a Niners playoff game, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it's a below average setting.
Yeah.
I don't know how the cities get the Super Bowl, but like the biggest misconception is that the Super Bowl is taking place in San Francisco, which would be like a logical thing to think if you weren't intimately involved. Like, oh, it's the home of the San Francisco 49ers, right? But it's actually in Santa Clara. It'd be the equivalent of like if the Super Bowl was in Tacoma, right? But like,
but
maybe
most
that
of
was
the
a stretch.
media will be in San Francisco, won't it?
Yeah, like Marshawn Lynch is doing his podcast, like his live show there. But I already saw like they're doing a bunch of stuff in downtown San Jose. Like the press conferences and all that stuff is happening in San Jose. So it's a big win
for
in
San
the Bay
Jose.
Area for San Jose, right?
I mean,
like
San Jose, no offense, San Jose, but when I was in college at Santa Clara, people called it the armpit of the West. So it's quite a nickname. And to now host the Super Bowl media, congratulations. This is the best thing that's happened to them since, I don't know, has San Jose State ever done anything? I got nothing. Good job, San Jose.
Yeah.
The Sharks, have they won the NHL? No. Like,
yeah.
This
So
is
I can wear my Seahawks stuff around and not get jumped, which is really nice. Like I was just wearing my highlight green jersey in public today.
Well, you should be jumped for wearing a highlight green one. Those are disgusting, but that's fine. I'm happy for you. We probably spent too much time talking about San Jose and not enough time talking about this game. So what's your biggest takeaway?
I lost you.
Oh, I said, what's your biggest takeaway from the game?
What's my biggest takeaway? This was the Sam Darnold game. I think it's easy to say.
100%.
If you were to tell me that the Seahawks were going to give up more than 25 points, I would tell you that Sam Darnold would have to play on par with Matthew Stafford or better, and he played better. The defense was the defense. Like it wasn't lights out. Like it felt like it in the first two quarters, and then the offense is just heated up.
Yeah, but let me tell you that I think this is unofficial, but I'm looking at Pro Football Reference. They don't have this game on the list of playoff games, but I looked at every other one. I think this is the second most yards in Seahawks history they've given up in a playoff game. The only one worse was 2023 against the Niners when they absolutely destroyed the Seahawks. So the Seahawks gave up 479 yards. That Niners game was 505. There's never been another worse game, right? So to your point, you needed every minute of Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold turned in the second most passing yards in Seahawks franchise postseason history.
It's insane because Russell Wilson was the quarterback for a good amount of time, and those teams made the playoffs several times. And then
Sam turned in the best performance in a championship game in franchise history.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell has the moments, right? The Packers game, but people in Seattle don't forget this. He was awful in the first half of that Packers championship game, and then had the theatrics.
But
we're not going to do a top 5.
Yeah,
I was just going to say we're not going to do a top 5, but real quick before we get back to Sam, do you think you can guess Darnold's number 2 all-time Seahawks postseason history in a postseason game, right? Passing yards. With what did he have? 346 today, I think, which is awesome. Who's number 1? What game?
Is it Matt Hasselbeck in the NFC Championship against the Panthers?
No, that's a good that I like that guess. Hasselbeck's number 3. He had 341 actually against the Rams in 2005. We lost 27-20. I don't remember that game very much.
Yeah, I think we've blocked it out.
What happened in that one? Is that's the year before we went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So that would have been like Warner and Falk still, right? Like that Greatest Show on Turf team for the Rams, I think.
Yeah. By the way, did you see the picture of Kurt Warner with Kurt Warner?
No,
Seahawks
that's awesome.
Kurt Warner
That's
and
good.
The Greatest Show on Turf. Kurt Warner took a picture at the game today.
So it's not cool. Hasselbeck.
No. And Russell's going to be in one of those spots, right?
I mean, it's Russ, but do you know the game? I think there's probably people right now who could guess it. And maybe you'll remember this. It's the Falcons game
that they lost
at Atlanta, right? And it's right before. It's like when everybody knew this team had something. Lost to the Falcons in that division game. Well, 2013 technically, because it's the 2012 season, 2013 January, right? And he threw for 385 against the Falcons. They lost. They came up short. I can't remember. There was something with a field goal at the end that was annoying me. I think Matt Ryan led them down the field for a field goal after the Russ had great theatrics. Anyway, the next year, obviously, they went and won the Super Bowl. So that was like the start of Russ, and he was good in that game. He's had other games that he was good, but Darnold was better today than any Russ playoff performance. Sam Darnold was better today. I want everyone to have that sink in. Sam Darnold just had the best postseason game for a quarterback in Seahawks history.
I think Sam Darnold is the perfect representation of the Seahawks season. In 2005, there were Super Bowl expectations with that team. Not like we're going to win the Super Bowl, but like the offensive line is awesome. The team's going to make the playoffs probably, and you have an MVP running back. Like even during the season, you were feeling that, right?
That's fair.
2013, right? The year after this Falcons game you were just talking about, right?
There were expectations.
There were expectations,
not Super Bowl, but
right?
Close, right? Yeah.
And then they go win the thing, right? And then the following year, definitely expectations. Like we can repeat. Everyone comes back. You fill in some holes, you lose some guys, but like the expectation is that they're back and they make it, and they did make it, right? And then this year, unless you listen to find me the person that said that this team is for sure going to the Super Bowl or they expect to be in the Super Bowl. Find me that person preseason. Find me that person that was saying that like in week 2, week 3, week 4. Find me the person that was saying that in like week 8. That this was a Super Bowl team. Like at one point, the stats did show.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say Sam Darnold is a good representation of this is because no one expected Sam Darnold to actually be in the Super Bowl, to be the reason why his team is in the Super Bowl. And like it's the same with the Seahawks. Like I don't think the expectations were there, and I think that's why it was so hard to like kind of grasp it or like understand what was going on as a fan. Maybe I'm out of touch or whatever.
No, you're right. It was very few. We were, I mean, this podcast was as high as anybody on the Seahawks probably. But nationally, if you're going to get into like the week 8 territory, even early in the season, in fairness, I don't listen to all the podcasts, but I've seen clips and so, and I do listen to Bill Simmons as a national guy. He was high on the Seahawks. He said they could be a Super Bowl contender, but like most people, you go up and down, and you just don't believe in. To your original point, everyone would go, but they have Sam Darnold. So until we see it, right, and it's not unfair.
Yeah.
He hadn't done it, right, and it doesn't mean. I think when people would say like they can't do it because of him, that's where it's unfair. But we're not sure they have the ceiling because he hasn't done it. Is the same as when Russ was young, or it's the same with Drake May, right? To a certain degree, it's like until you see it, right? Or Bo Nix before he got hurt, or whatever. But yeah, early in the year, everyone was still loving the Eagles at the end of the year because they had done it last year. I mean, we got crap on here because I put Hurts above Darnold going into the playoffs, and I still think it's fair because he had done it, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't. And then somebody said, you don't think Darnold's a better quarterback. And that's a different argument. I actually think Darnold is a better quarterback and did. I didn't think you could put him above Hurts, who had just won the Super Bowl last year, right? Like you can't do that. Purdy had gone to the Super Bowl. Stafford has won a Super Bowl. Darnold had to knock him off. It's like being a boxer and like you're taking on, opponents and you got to knock them out. And Darnold did it. He was awesome. And he was awesome in the Niners game, but they didn't need him. They needed him, to your original point, every second tonight, and he delivered. He was awesome.
Can I give you last week I gave you a list of quarterbacks. I'm going to give you another list here. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Do you know what they all have in common?
Interesting.
They were all drafted in 2018.
Wow.
Out of that group, only one of them has made it to the Super Bowl, and that person is our quarterback.
That's bananas, actually.
Like Baker Mayfield was the number 1 pick overall. Darnold went number 3, Allen number 7. Of course, Lamar Jackson went to number 32, and then Josh Rosen is. I don't think he's in the league anymore.
No.
So,
most teams are still taking Lamar or Josh Allen above Darnold, but that is pretty fun. That's amazing. Good for Sam Darnold, man.
Yeah,
so cool. He's such a like genuine dude who just like. I don't know. And you could tell the team, to your point, like they all ride for him. Like Ernest Jones,
they love him. Yeah.
Ernest Jones defended him when he had the 4 picks against the Rams. JSN after the game today was just like, he's my guy. And of course, what are they going to say going to the Super Bowl? But I think Jones, in their lowest moment defending him, is the proof that they all ride for him. Right.
One of my favorite, I've been victory scrolling. One of my favorite tweets is a Chris Carter, Minnesota Vikings legend, tweeted, "Hell of a win by Seattle, and congratulations to Sam Darnold."
I saw that too. I think it's just a typo, but I saw that one too, and I thought about bringing that one up also. That was pretty good. Russell Wilson tweeted, Kev. He said, Sam Darnold's comeback story over the past 2 years has been one of the most inspiring things to watch. Cool seeing him overcome. Congrats, bro. Hope you win it. Go Hawks. Come on, people. Can you just love Russ again? Like, I don't know why I became the Russ guy. Anyway.
Who do you think's more inspiring for Russell Wilson? Phillip Rivers slinging it out of shape at the age of 44 or Sam Darnold?
I mean, he should definitely be inspired by Rivers because it feels like a pathway for Russ at this point is to do the Rivers thing. But yeah, Darnold was amazing. If we get out of the Darnold storyline, which is hard to escape, I think there's a few other key plays in this game. I think now that it's almost 15 minutes in, I can bring up the play where I texted you and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to podcast tonight. I lost my mind in my house. I had my father-in-law and mother-in-law over, and I was dropping F-bombs left and right when Tariq Woolen knocks down a ball in 3rd and 12. It's 4th and 12. The Seahawks are up 31-20 in the 4th quarter. And I thought it's not ball game, but man, what a momentum swing. He could have intercepted it, didn't. Still great play, whatever. Barks at the bench. I swear the ref gave him a warning and he kept going and they threw a flag and the Rams get a first down. On the very next play, Puka Nacua beats him for a touchdown and it's a game now.
And it was on Woolen. They went at Woolen on the bomb to
I was convinced the game was over. I was convinced season was over. Somehow they overcame it because Mike McDonald's a better leader than I am. He's amazing. Man, that was a key play in the game, though. and this is not the first time we've seen Tariq Woolen do this. Was your take that you were mad at Woolen or you're mad at the refs?
Definitely mad at Woolen.
Okay.
Like, and it always comes back to Husky football. But the
For you, it
most
does.
upset I saw Chris Peterson on any play, like they would zoom in, like and see him seething or
Yeah,
seething,
seething.
seething,
Mhm.
seething with anger would be after like an unsportsmanlike conduct, because that is the one thing arguably most in your control on the football field.
And it's the
And
most
it's like,
selfish play you can make.
and it's such a painful penalty, right? Like it's 15 yards, first down. It's stupid. Like
It's
you
so
don't
dumb.
get anything out of talking.
Nothing.
I mean,
Yeah.
but to be fair, some people that fuels people, right? That helps them. It's a mental thing, but like you should be able to get juiced up other ways than yelling at Sean McVay on the sideline,
I mean,
right?
it's
Like,
ultimately it's a it becomes about you and not the team. Because if you want to be juiced up, go talk your ish as you're going off the field with your team. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're not going to call it. You just kept getting closer and closer to the Rams bench. Like they had to call it. That's how I see it. Now, some national media folks are like, there's too much emotion. You can't call this, which I thought was interesting because I thought everybody was going to just think it was
yeah.
Woolen's fault. That
He
game, that
almost, man, if it that was, he was not going to get that extension or that
he
contract.
still might not get paid, honestly. I mean, there's a reason. Anyway, we can talk about that a different time. But they kept him in there. Nicky Manwari was pissed at him, which was amazing. That a rookie was like had more. I don't know. He's calling out the fourth year guy. But they stayed rallied, and then it didn't end up being the biggest key play in the game. I think the other key plays were, people have been talking about this too. There's a couple things that McVay didn't do. One is he didn't go for two to make it 31-28. Instead, it was 31-27. I don't, it was early enough that I didn't really think about it twice at the time, but there's not a lot of downside to going for two when it's 31-26 instead of 31-27. Because if the Seahawks go up 34-26, you're going to need 2 point later anyway. I don't know. It just felt like maybe that was a chance. But the bigger one was, people are critiquing him for not taking the field goal when Witherspoon made the nice play on fourth down. When there was probably 4 minutes and 30 seconds left or something like that. They definitely could have got the ball back. I don't know. How did you feel? Did you want him to kick the field goal as a Seahawks fan, or
Yeah.
did you want them to go for it?
I mean, that's kind of McVay's MO, to be aggressive. Like they went
Well,
for
to
fourth
everybody.
down
That I
earlier.
think
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
critique, is now everybody's doing that.
And he's already made
yeah.
up his mind, right? Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be what they do. But they were kind of like, this is why I loved having Tom Brady on the, like I
Oh, Brady
posted,
was so good.
like just hearing him talk at the end of the game, like he was like, they're gonna have 3 plays, like here's what they're gonna need to do. And they're gonna need to do a sideline thing, and then maybe Stafford can sling it from 60 yards for a helmet. Like just hearing him talk through that,
He was so
like
good.
he was like in the game, right?
He
And
was good on that fourth down play too, and
yeah,
he wasn't the only one. But the Seahawks broke tendencies and dropped 9 into coverage, I guess, on that
yes,
play.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Love had an awesome play on a guy coming out of the backfield
yeah,
that Stafford looked to. He had a double pump, and then Witherspoon obviously with great coverage. Great call by McDonald, breaking tendencies, but Brady's all over it. It's like, I mean, I'm not a big Brady fan as a player,
or maybe even a
which
person.
sounds, well, I don't know him. Yeah, but like he's awesome. And he wasn't awesome to start, but I was so happy Brady was on the call the last 2 games. It was really, really fun to have him. He was great. And he was given, again, Darnold his flowers. He was like, he was rooting for him. You could tell in a way that was genuine. It was like rooting for a good quarterback play. McVay on that fourth down play, I mean, they showed it 1,000 times, but he's running down the sideline.
Yeah, about
And he
to maybe
definitely
call
is
a
about to call
timeout.
timeout. And then he screams into his play card afterwards. And I know that feeling, not at that level, obviously.
Yeah,
But the thing where you feel like you should have done it as a coach and you didn't, and then it doesn't go well, and you just want to, like, you're so mad at yourself. And I think that's what that scream was. I don't think he was mad at anything else other than I should have called timeout.
yes.
But so those
I
were
will,
huge
yeah.
plays. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna think of like, 2 or 3 other big plays in the game. Obviously, the muff punt was big. That in some ways that kinda gets counteracted with the Reek Woolen play. Um, the other one that I guess Rams fans are upset about is the Cooper Kupp catch that they say shouldn't have been a catch.
Shouldn't have been a first down.
Both, right? Like, some
Yeah.
people are saying it shouldn't have been a catch based on that Bills play, and that it shouldn't have been a first down. And I don't know. I didn't see it. I felt
Yeah.
like a first down to me. Felt like a catch and a first down, like in normal football plays. Um,
Yeah.
and you could
And
have, I mean, there were like 3 Rams plays you could have called to even that out, right? Like the pass interference and Shaheed on the sideline where they push him out of bounds before he gets the ball. You remember that one? And then Kevin Burkhardt's like, that might be uncatchable. And it hit Shaheed in the helmet. It's like, it's not uncatchable if it can hit him in the helmet. So I don't know. You kind of balance those out, I feel like. I don't know. How did you
yeah.
feel? Did you feel like it was fair? Like it was a fairly ref? It was everybody
Yeah,
had the
I
same
didn't
chance?
feel
Yeah.
like it was, and obviously I'm not on the losing side of this, so we could have one of my many LA Rams listeners tell me,
Wait, do you have
why.
many are there many Rams
I
listeners?
mean, I'm from LA, so or not from
You're
LA,
not
but
from LA, you're from
I've
Seattle. What are you doing?
I lived 6 years in LA. Like I interact with Rams fans, although there's not many of them.
No,
There's not
'cause they
many
were in
Rams
St. Louis
fans.
forever, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say one thing that I did want to touch on really quickly was Ken Walker had a couple runs here. Like if you look at the fantasy line, it's not going to jump out. 19
Yeah,
carries, 62 yards, and a
right.
touchdown. Although it did win me $15.
Let's go.
Um, uh, Marshawn Lynch had a tweet as well. Said, "Don't forget about the running back. Give him your props." And Ken Walker had some runs, and he had to take on more of a load than he usually does with Charbonnet out. I saw some people posting, some former players saying that like it's criminal the way that Ken
Yeah.
Walker was used
Mark
throughout the
Ingram,
season,
yeah,
right?
said that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Mark Ingram, right?
yeah.
So I don't know if I agree with that. Like, obviously Kubiak had a system and they made it this far. So I'm like
Yeah.
very
Charbonnet
like,
was great, like
yeah, like,
yeah.
but Ken Walker is great too.
I
And
think I think when Ken Walker makes a guy miss like he did on that
it's
that
so cool.
overhead view,
Yeah.
it's exciting, and that's what makes people be like, "How is he not?" And then he made a great
Yeah.
play on a
Touchdown.
yeah, and his touchdown when there's 4 dudes, and then there was like a second or third down play where they threw out to him in the flat, and he made I think he made Verse miss in coverage, and then he made a couple other guys miss. It was actually right after the 4th down play. It was the first down they got as they kind of marched down the field and ultimately almost completely killed the clock, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Walker was awesome.
I mean, if Walker, this is my one of my storylines to watch heading into the Super Bowl. I can't believe I
Yeah,
just said that, but like,
that's amazing.
how good can Ken Walker be? Like,
Yeah.
if he totals more than 100 yards, that means the Seahawks are in control and winning the line of scrimmage, and that also means they'll probably win the game.
Yeah, I don't know
And
that
I
that's gonna happen. I mean,
happen.
we can
Yeah.
we'll probably preview the Super Bowl next week, because we get 2 weeks. This is amazing. We can talk about the Seahawks. We can get into a whole preview next week. But the Patriots, when Milton Williams plays, who's their big free agent signing, their run defense is incredible. So
There's my yawn, by the way.
yeah,
We
thank
had
you
a
for the yawn.
listener
Yeah,
or a watcher
drink.
say that I
Everybody drink.
yawn.
Kept yawned. I I just don't think they're gonna run for that many yards. I think they'll probably have to do a little bit of today, like with Darnold. Um, my early prediction would be that Seahawks defense is gonna make Drake May's life hell.
Yeah, I was
I
watching the game before, and it's like, I
He
think
threw for
whoever
like
wins the
86
next
yards,
game.
right? Like
Yeah, granted it was in the snow, so like I
totally.
kind of don't really count it for anything, but still, it's like Drake May versus the Seahawks defense.
Well, and here's where maybe I'm stubborn and dumb, and maybe I'll be wrong,
Yeah,
but I think there's a difference between Purdy, who's struggled even, and Stafford and Shanahan and McVay, who have had an opportunity now to face McDonald
three
and his
times.
defense multiple times, and McVay is
Mhm.
one of the best coaches. Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator, but I just think until you face it live the first time and a young quarterback facing it live, I just think I give the Seahawks the upper hand. I think Drake May is gonna really, really struggle. But we can get into that next week. I think Ken Walker, great game, like you said. Defensive line was not awesome today, and the defense has been great.
It
Spoon made a
felt like
great play when he needed
yeah.
to, but
Yeah, the D-line was able to get into the backfield, but Stafford is so experienced at stepping up in the pocket and knowing who to get the ball to and then how to get rid of the ball. It's kinda like what we said last week. Like, I don't think Stafford's gonna come out here and throw a clunker. Like, he already had a great game against the Seahawks earlier in the season, and, I mean,
he
he's
just
good.
doesn't get sacked by
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
I
if you were to
want him
tell
to
me he
return.
would get 3 touchdowns and no
Yeah,
interceptions, like, I would have said the Rams would have won this
I
game for
agree with you.
sure, no
Actually,
matter
yeah,
how good
yeah,
Darnold played, like,
right.
I
I
thought the
think,
defense would have to make plays, but the special teams, man, the special
yeah,
teams made a play.
yeah. I mean, they kind of made a play. The guy fell over,
Yeah.
fumbled the ball, but he almost fumbled. He did fumble an earlier one, so maybe getting 1 out of 2 is fair.
Do you think it was an overreaction for McVay to put in Kyren Williams the rest of the game to return?
No way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was, in fact, he should have done it after the first one.
Yeah.
Um, that the Xavier Smith was on kick return team, made a nice play later. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine. I felt for him during that moment. I didn't feel for Reek Woolen, so different. One is a mistake, trying to make a play in a game, and the other is completely within your control. So, but we're not here to be negative. We're here to be positive. So I
The
don't want to.
Seahawks are
They're not going to
going
the
to the
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl,
They're going to the
man.
Super Bowl. They're now 4-0 in NFC Championship games, which is amazing. All 4 times they were the number 1 seed. All 4 times they had the NFC Championship at home. The last 3 have been incredible games. Think about this game. Great game. Awesome game. Game before that was the Packers with the onside kick and the overtime win. Game before that is Richard Sherman's tip. And then the first one was the Panthers, where I went to that one. And it wasn't even a great game. It was awesome for the Seahawks. But did you know the Seahawks have been to one other championship game in their history?
No.
Yeah. They are 0-1 in the AFC Championship game. 1983 against the Raiders. Nope. Is that Raiders? Yeah, Raiders. Yeah. They upset Marino and the Dolphins and then lost to the Raiders. Another
Was it
fun
the
fact
LA
for you, Kev.
Raiders
Yeah.
at the time?
Another fun fact for you, Kev. The Seahawks' first year in existence, they were an NFC team in 1976.
I didn't know that.
And then they went to the AFC for all the way up until they switched over to the NFC and NFC ever since. And my God, if you had told me when the Seahawks went to the NFC and I think I was in college or just out of college, 2002. Yeah. And you'd said they're going to go to 4 Super Bowls in the next 24 years. I would have been like, nope, absolutely or not. We are in a crappy sports town. It's not going to happen. That's awesome.
Yeah. Shout out to Cooper Kupp for walking in with a Mariners jersey.
Yeah, baby.
I was almost a little afraid that the result would have been the same, but thankfully he reverse cursed it, and
You
maybe
believe
the
in those,
Mariners should wear Seahawks jerseys walking in.
yeah, I think
Man,
they should.
God.
You know what I was going to see? I mean, I don't think I'll be able to pull this up fast enough, but since the year 2000, I'm wondering if the Seahawks, or maybe let's go since 2022 when they went to the NFC, I'm wondering if their appearances in Super Bowls is like 3rd. Certainly the Patriots would be 1st, right? Yeah, obviously. And then I'm trying to see where they fall on this, but Chiefs obviously would be more. Seahawks at 4 is interesting.
Yeah. Can we end on this one last fact that came out? John Schneider is the first GM in NFL history to reach multiple Super Bowls with the same organization while having a brand new head coach and no players from the previous Super Bowl team. And we've touched on this, but I think that is an incredible feat.
Do we know that that's true? I don't know if I trust that source.
So it came from Jordan Schultz. Yeah. It came from Jordan Schultz, who's not the most popular. Well, his last name's not the most popular last name in Seattle, and he's related to the person that sold the Sonics. Yeah. So I'll put that out there.
I'm not attacking his credibility because his father sold the Sonics. I'm genuinely curious if that's true.
Yeah.
He's the only person I saw tweet it out, and it's very interesting. And I don't know if it's true or not. So, that'd be interesting. But if it's true, it's amazing, and it doesn't change the fact that John Schneider was awesome, incredible.
Incredible.
Before we go, Kev, we have to have people stay around. The Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. It's a great day. We have Olympians coming up. We have Luke Violette and Ben Richardson of the U.S. curling team, who we shouted out on this podcast. And then through the magic of social media, if you go to Luke Violette's Instagram page, it's just my fat face in the middle, and then you play it, and it's us talking about them on the curling team. And Kev reached out, and we got him, and we interviewed him today, and they're awesome.
We
You're gonna
interviewed
love it.
Olympians. Yeah.
Yeah. I promise you will love the interview. Like, they're great. And we had some fun questions, and they explain curling, and they tell you why you're stupid for thinking you can go to the Olympics. I mean, they don't even say it that way because they're so nice. But they were great guys. And it's a great interview. But before we jump into that, before we segue to it, I have to do a little clip here that you got to put on social media, because last week I talked about my Seattle Rain tickets and how I was pissed, and they hadn't responded to, or they had responded generally about the fact that we had 3 less games this year. It's because Lumen Field is getting grass and they have to install it for the World Cup, right? So they had to move early season games to Spokane, yet they charge us the same amount of money. Well, Seattle Rain, nice job. Got an email this week, and we had 2 options as season ticket holders. One, you can get a refund for your tickets. So they did it. And I don't know if that was their original plan. They'll never admit it, but power to the people for saying we want our money back. Good job, Rain. The second option, the one we took as fans ourselves, is you could get $100-something in account credit this year, but you also get tickets in your seats, your original seats, to the United States women's national team against Japan at Lumen Field in April. And that's pretty cool. My wife immediately said, we're doing that one. I was like, really? We don't want the money back? She's like, no, we're going. So the best part is you get your original seats, and we have great seats for the Rain because, I don't know how many season ticket holders they have, but their average attendance is, in the 7,000 to 8,000 range. We're right at midfield. We're very close to the field, and we're going to get to go see the U.S. women's national team. So nice job, Rain. Good job making it up to your fans. I don't even know if I'd say I apologize, but I would say thank you.
You should go back on any comments you left. I went back and saw your comment.
Yeah.
That people liked.
People love my
just
comment.
Say,
yeah.
You should just say, you did right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We need more accountability in America for actions, for lots of things. And, I can be in a good example of taking.
Yes.
I don't even know if accountability is the right way, because I don't think my comment that this is wrong was incorrect. I think I could say, nice job, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll say. Thank you, Seattle Rain. Thank you, Seattle Seahawks, for making this what an incredible sports here in Seattle. The Mariners were 7 outs away from the World Series. The Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. What life are we living? This is incredible. And even better, Kev, up next, we interviewed Olympians.
All right. We'll move on to Luke Violette and Ben Richardson.
Let's go.
All right. We're here with a Wait for It Seattle podcast first. 2 Olympians, or future Winter Olympians, joining us on the show with Seattle area ties. Ben Richardson and Luke Violette will be competing in this year's upcoming Winter Olympics. And they must have lost some sort of bet to join us on this podcast. And here they are in the flesh. Thank you for joining us, Ben and Luke. We'll get into it. But Brian, if you want to kick it off and get us started with our conversation, we don't want to waste their precious time.
Yeah, they're going to the Olympics, and we are not. So I just have to go teach high schoolers on Tuesday. So yeah. All right, so guys, we're talking about this before we started recording, but Ben, I think you've been in Minnesota for a while. Luke just was mentioning that he's there now. Can we talk about, maybe just before we get into some of the background, as you're getting ready for the Olympics, everybody kind of congregates to Minnesota? Is that fair to say? Is it the curling capital of the United States?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's I knew pretty much like probably halfway through college, which would have been like 2019, 2020, that Minnesota was where I wanted to move to. And it's not like a requirement for curlers necessarily, but it's very much encouraged, just because there's so many great resources here in Minnesota that we can use as competitive curlers. So it just makes sense for if you want to go to the Olympics, you want to go to a world championships, that you would move here.
And when you say resources, are you talking about facilities? Are there like coaches and trainers out there for you guys that are there locally? What are you talking about there?
Yep. Yeah, there's we got great curling clubs here, like the Chaska Curling Club that we go to pretty often, Frogtown Curling Club as well. And then we have like the TCO training house facility that we work out at with a trainer. It's the same Viking Lakes facility that the Vikings train at. So we have access to that. And that's one of the coolest resources that we have as an organization. And yeah, just USA Curling is also based here in Minnesota. So we got some staff and other people that are willing to help us, and coaches and stuff.
Nice. You both have background, obviously, in the Seattle region, and both curled at the Granite Curling Club up right by Ingram High School. I wanted to, most of our listeners are Seattle ties, so they'll know the references to, not too far off Aurora, right by Ingram High School. I've driven by it, actually, now that I think about it, a number of times and seen it. And it has some serious success coming out of there. At least this is what Wikipedia tells me, guys. I don't know. But the most championship teams of any U.S. club since 1961 when they opened. And you guys both started there. Luke, maybe we'll start with you. Wikipedia tells me, Luke, that you started curling at 11 years old. Is Wikipedia correct? Is that your background?
Wikipedia is very incorrect.
Oh, dang. We got to change this. I think we can all do this.
If you guys want to go log in and update it, be my guest. But
okay,
no,
Luke,
I started
tell us how
curling
it started.
when I was 4 or 5.
Wow.
Kind of got right into it. My dad grew up in northern Minnesota back when it was a high school sport, and he's played his whole life. He actually moved down to California for a few years, and then that was probably correct in your Wikipedia search is that the Granite Curling Club had 4 of the best men's teams in the country, in the late 80s and early 90s.
Okay.
So one of those teams asked my dad, "Hey, want to play with us?" So he moved up, and they won a couple national championships, and he stayed in the Northwest for quite a while after that, and that's where I got started.
Yeah. And Ben, how about your roots in the Seattle area?
Yeah, so I grew up mostly in Seattle. I was born in Florida technically, but then I moved to Seattle when I was 4. So pretty much all I remember as a kid is Seattle. Yep. And then I didn't start curling as early as Luke did, but I pretty much just went to a learn to curl at the Seattle Granite Curling Club.
Oh, wow.
Because my grandmother was a curler, so we had some curling in the family. But she just, probably called my mom one day and was like, "Hey, there's a curling club in Seattle. Maybe you should have him try it and see if he likes it." So I went there one day and got an instructor that was really, really good and made me feel like I knew what I was doing. And then I was like, okay, this is fun. I want to keep doing it. So then I joined the junior league after that. And that's how I met Luke and his dad. And they both took me under their wings and started coaching me and teaching me everything they knew. And Luke had been curling for dozens of years at that point. So I had some catching up to do. But yeah, it was a very welcoming club for me, especially as a newcomer.
That's awesome. Your childhood sports experience, and you tell me how different it is, because obviously you two are Olympians. I don't think it's controversial to say that curling is not a mainstream sport. And so most kids growing up in the Seattle area weren't curling, right? Playing football, basketball is big in Seattle, a lot of baseball going on, and then a lot of what I would call maybe secondary sports. Of course, soccer as well. Did you all play any of those other sports? Is there a season to curling? How does that work growing up? You obviously learned at the club and played some at the club, and how does that work? Were you guys focusing on it from the very beginning?
No. So my first love was hockey. I was a junior silver tip for a while. So even though I think I started skating, I started curling when I was 4 or something, so about the same time. And hockey's a lot of fun. They had a great youth program out there in Everett. So I grew up in Granite Falls and Lake Stevens. So it was a little ways away from the curling club.
Sure.
So those are some long drives, especially from Granite Falls in those early days. But yeah, I was junior silver tip. Played Little League baseball out of Granite Falls. Was on the Lake Stevens swim team for a year or 2 in middle school. Played a little golf, a little tennis. Kind of tried to did a little bit of everything. And then I was probably around 13 or so when I kind of specialized in curling, if you will.
Nice. Ben, for you, did you play any other sports growing up?
Not as much as Luke. I grew up in more of a musical family, so both of my parents are musicians, and that's kind of how I ended up going to music school for college. I played a little bit of soccer as a kid, and I actually grew up doing ballet. So I was actually more into like
Nice.
dance and music and arts than I was sports. But funny enough, like I was always a very competitive kid. So I felt like I wanted to do sports, but I wasn't, like doing many at the time. And then when I found curling, that was like the avenue for me to like be competitive in something. It's like, okay, finally, here's like that sport that I've been wanting to play and that I can compete, because you can compete with like music and ballet, but it's a little different, it's
Right.
different compared to your normal sports like football and soccer. And for me, it was curling.
Ben, getting to the Wikipedia search again. Are you still known on social media as the curling cello guy?
I am.
All
Yep.
right, there we go. Yeah,
Yes.
Kev didn't know that. I had to make sure Kev knew that so he could find you. Are you still playing the cello like frequently? How does that work into your schedule, Ben?
Not very frequently. I after I graduated college, it definitely took a bit of a backseat,
Sure.
and I started focusing on the curling side of things. I do every now and then still. My mom is a violinist, and she'll like call me up and say, "Hey, I have a wedding gig coming up in like a couple months. Like, are you free on this day to drive over to Wisconsin and then play with me?" So
Nice.
I'll play with my mom every now and then, and I also play with the Mankato Symphony, which is like a very part-time symphony. They have like 5 or 6 performances a year, and I end up missing like 4 or 5 of them for curling, so I only miss like 1 or 2 of them.
I think it's an okay excuse, and that they haven't kicked you off and they've kept you on because it's like, okay, he has a good excuse.
That's right.
When you say you're going to the Olympics, it's hard for people to get mad about that.
That's actually a good segue. I had this question. I was thinking about this. Like, obviously, and tell me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it was a big deal for you guys to beat Team Schuster in the trials. So and again, jump in, but for people who don't know, Team Schuster, the teams are named after the skip position, right? Yep. So you guys are Team Casper. I have that right?
Yes.
I think?
You're spot on.
Okay, so far so good. So Team Schuster, at 4 straight Olympics, something like that before this
5.
one, 5 straight Olympics. Okay.
John Schuster is an individual, 5 straight Olympics.
Okay, John Schuster. Yeah, and different guys are in the different positions with him, but John Schuster. So you guys, depending on where you read, it was an upset, or I don't know if you guys feel like it was an upset, but you make the Olympics. Obviously, it's awesome. I mean, assuming like parents are there or watching it or whatever. So you have this core group. But has there been a person you've run into where you get to say, "Oh, I'm actually going to the Olympics at that time"? Something like along those lines where somebody's like, "What are you doing this February?" And you're like, "Well, I'll be in the Olympics." And you've had that kind of moment of somebody being like, "Wait, what?" Have you had any of those
projects at work?
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's exactly. Yeah, this isn't your full-time thing, right? You don't just wake up and curl all day. Like you actually have jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So has there been somebody you can think of, or a moment, whether it's a work project or even just like, I don't know, I was thinking like a coffee shop or something, just some moment where you got to think to yourself, I'm going to the Olympics, and I get to tell somebody that,
Definitely a few. I mean, the big ones are like external meetings at work, or like, oh, this is going to be due on February 20th or something. I'm like, yep, I'm going to be out of town. You can talk to so-and-so on this one.
Yeah.
Pass the torch. And then I don't quite have a coffee shop moment yet, but definitely times where it's like we're talking to, maybe some more distant friends or people we only sort of know, and then all of a sudden you drop in. Like I think both of us generally, like, people ask about it. I mean, curling's kind of a big part of our identity, so it usually comes up, but usually only people ask. So there's some people that we know that just kind of, they might know we do this thing, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, you are going there.
Right.
And it is kind of fun.
Ben, have you had any of those type of moments?
Yeah, similar to Luke, I had a couple work moments that were similar. Like for my job, I work with a lot of customer success managers in our company. And I remember calling one, we have like weekly calls, and one of them was on the road in their car and just called me on their phone. And she had been traveling a lot, and most people like in the company had known at that point that I qualified for the Olympics. But I think since she was traveling, she didn't see that. And I don't know how it came up. I think she may have said like, "What are you doing in the next couple weeks?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to the Olympics." And she started freaking out while she was driving. Like, what? Oh my God.
That is awesome.
That was pretty cool.
I mean, at what point is this something that we'll watch the Olympics on NBC, and a lot of what makes the Olympics special is the stories behind these athletes, and And sometimes the storyline is like, I've dreamed about this since I was a kid. I worked really hard and that sort of thing. And here I am, and I've overcome this adversity, and I'm finally here competing. For both of you, like when you were kids, was this like the goal? Or is this just something that as like you've continued to compete and, maybe in the past couple years, like this is, this was the ultimate goal, like this year, 2026 to qualify. I'm interested to hear your perspective on when this became a thing for you.
It's definitely been a long-term goal. I mean, clearly I started playing when I was a little younger, but was playing a lot of other sports throughout that time. And I'd say when I was about the time where I was starting to specialize in curling, and we did play in like a couple of junior national championships and whatnot, then it's like we started doing well. It's like, okay, clearly I've got a pretty great coach, world-class coach, and my dad. Got some great teammates out here in Seattle. This could definitely be something that happens down the road in the future. At the same sense, though, curling's peak age historically has been around 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things you got to stick with it a long time usually to get to the Olympic Games. And then certainly for Ben and I, he started a little later, but the first time we played together was for the Youth Olympic Games, and
Right.
that was the International Olympic Committee's tier one, like actual Youth Olympic Games over in Norway. And clearly, once you're there, like Chloe Kim was there, River Radimus was there. Like there's, it's a pretty good sign that you're on the right track.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think Youth Olympics was right around the time where I started seriously considering like the adult Olympics, you could say, as the ultimate goal. I think around that time, maybe a year or so before that, I kind of made the decision, just because of how much I love curling and how much I love putting in the work, that this was something I wanted to like dedicate my life to. Whether or not like the Olympics came from that, I didn't, maybe at that point I didn't care as much. I would have been happy winning nationals and going to world championships. But yeah, as soon as we got to the Youth Olympics and got a little taste of it, then it was like, yeah, this is definitely something I want to work towards. And then as we kept, growing older, we went to junior world championships. We kept representing USA as we got older and older. So it felt like, okay, it wasn't just like a one-time thing in 2016 that we got to go to the Youth Olympics. Like we keep representing our country. We keep doing well consistently. So it's like, okay, we're continuing on that upward trajectory. And the more we did that, the more it started feeling like the Olympics was a realistic goal.
I want to dive in for people as they tune in. I think your first, is it a match? Do they call it a match?
Match or game?
Match or game. Okay, game is February 11th, I think, at least in our time zone. And can you guys talk through the different positions? So, obviously I don't know it well, but I researched enough to know we've got skip, second, third. Skip's kind of like the captain, for lack of a better term, or is that then what do they do in terms of the actual sport, like when you're competing?
So Skip's kind of like the captain, or you could kind of relate him to being a quarterback that calls all their own plays. Coach interaction is starting to become a thing in curling, but it used to be against the rules. Now they're letting us do some, but still more or less the team is making all the tactical decisions, and that's led by the skip. So the skip's standing on the far end where we're throwing all of our rocks towards, and they're deciding what shot to play. They're motioning, letting us know what to do, and then they're setting their broom down as a target for us to aim at. And then as the shot's going down the sheet, they're communicating, yelling, right? It's curling. That's what we're known for, right? So they're screaming their head off, letting us know how the rock's moving and whether or not we need to sweep for the line that the rock is taking.
So second, third, fourth are just positions of sweeping, basically, in order, or is that wrong?
Yeah, I could talk about that. So the lead, there's two teams playing each other, and each team throws 8 rocks, and depending on what position you play, it determines what rocks you're going to throw in what order. So the lead is the first person that throws, so they throw the first 2 rocks. The second throws the third and fourth. The third throws the fifth and sixth, and then the skip throws the last 2. So like Luke was saying, the skip just stands at the other end and calls all the shots until he comes down and throws his last 2. If you're the lead, you throw your first 2 and then you sweep the rest of the remaining 6 rocks. If you're the second, you sweep for the first 2 rocks. You throw your 2 and then you sweep for the 5th through 8th rocks. And then the third, you get the idea. They sweep for the lead in the second, and then they actually kind of take over for the skip when he's throwing his rock. So they go down and kind of replace him, and then basically give him the same broom that the skip usually gives us to like aim at. So they'll like the third and the skip will kind of discuss strategy before the skip goes down to throw, and then the third will stay at the other end and take over the skip's responsibilities while he's throwing.
Got it. And you have, I think I counted this right. Are there 9 round robin matches before the medal rounds?
Yeah, we played a full 10-team round robin.
Yeah, that felt like a lot from just somebody who's got kids, and you see round robin. My kids are doing like round robin basketball tournaments, soccer tournaments. It's like 4 teams, right? So 9 matches, and then obviously you're going against all the best teams in the world. You guys are currently ranked 6th, which I saw was maybe the highest the U.S. team has ever been going in the Olympics. That's pretty awesome. That's got to feel good.
That's correct, yeah.
Is the goal? I mean, this might be the dumbest question I've ever asked, but the goal to be on the podium, like, is that the goal for you guys? Is that fair to ask? Or
no, it's very fair to ask. No, we have it's not that unique, but like our team philosophy, kind of led by Danny, or our skip, right, is that our goal is always to win. Like, we show up, I don't care what we're playing in. Our goal is to win it all.
Awesome.
And to win it one game at a time, right? Yeah. And we do know we have played all except one of these teams.
I was gonna ask if you've competed against these guys.
Yeah.
Put ourselves in a spot where we are a top 10 team in the world, and we've had very competitive games if we haven't beaten them, or we've beaten most of the teams there, and so we know we can do it, and it's just a matter of taking it that one game at a time, and we're there to win.
That's awesome.
Going off of the competition aspect, I don't want to focus too much on the other teams that you're playing, but what's I was watching a Netflix documentary last night. It's called Sprint, and it's about the sprinters leading up to the Olympic Games, and how there's kind of like intense competition, and there's some rivalries, but there's also some people that are good friends that compete, against each other. What's that like for the circuit, the curling circuit, the international curling circuit? Like, are you guys friends with these people because you've played each other so long? It's a pretty, it's you guys are all curlers. Like, what's that like?
That, for me at least, and I'm sure Luke will say the same, that's one of my favorite parts about the sport, is how friendly it is. We'll go to these competitions on the circuit, and we'll play against these top teams, and then we'll sit down with them after the game and have a beer. Like, whether or not it's the lowest ranked team of the year or like one of the top ranked teams, it doesn't matter. Like, almost all the time we're just sitting down and having a good time. And I'll give you a specific example. The team Schuster that we beat at the trials, we had a best of 3 against them to go to the Olympic qualifier. And so we won the first game, we lost the second game, and then it came down to the third game, and we ended up winning that. And I mean, that's got to be one of the hardest losses for any team, to lose the Olympic trials that you've been going 4 years as hard as you can to get to. But that night they came over to our Airbnb and like basically celebrated with us. Wow. And just hung out with us and drank beer and talked and gave us advice. I mean, he's been to the Olympics 5 times, so we wanted to pick his brain about what we're going to need to do out there. But yeah, literally that night they came over and hung out with us, and they're a great team, but they're not the only team that does stuff like that. Like, most curling teams are very friendly and very, on the ice, sure, we're competitive, but off the ice, we're all friends.
That is awesome.
Brian, do you mind if I ask another question?
Go for it. Yeah.
We're a couple weeks out from your first match / game. Like, what happens now? I know you all are training every day. Is that correct? Like, in the morning, and then like, is the Olympic Committee like doing things for you? Like, how much of it is you just like, okay, like I just get on a flight and then I just follow directions and then I show up to my match? Like, how much of it are you in charge of? Do you have people working for you or on behalf of you? What's all of that?
Yeah, is there an Olympic Uber waiting for you in Italy when you show up? Like, how does this work? Ben's like, I don't know. We haven't done it yet.
No.
Any ideas?
Right?
Yeah.
No, we have a good idea, right?
Okay.
And that's the thing. A lot of people wonder this, and it's for good reason. It's not very well known, but basically, if you're an athlete competing in the Olympics, your logistics, your travel is completely taken care of by the Olympic Committee and your national governing body. So for us, USA Curling, we have a couple staff members on the USA Curling working with the Olympic Committee, so they're booking all of our flights. figuring out all the transportation. We're even having a training camp in Switzerland at USA Curling to get acclimated for a few days before we head over to Italy. And then there's like a whole processing thing that happens in Milan. So there's many stages of very thorough, thought out logistics. And that's all taken care of for the most part. But what we do focus on is our own team's training. And, between the five of us, our coach, and then our national coach, we have a structured training program that is the same thing we've been doing all along. We're either going to the gym or practicing in the morning, and then we're kind of having some lengthier practices on the weekend. And we've got things we want to work on as we lead up to leaving on Friday.
So you're leaving this Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Did Switzerland first for the training camp. Okay, amazing. Will you guys stay in the Olympic Village? Is that where you'll be? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And
is there anybody?
You asked about Olympic Ubers. I mean, a lot of it's shuttles. There's a lot of shuttles going back and forth, right?
Sense.
So your typical day is like you're in the Olympic Village. You've got a 9 a.m. game or something, and there's a schedule of buses or shuttles and like a docking, a whole basically transit center, and then you're getting bused to and from your event.
Is there anybody? This is a weird question, but is there anybody you're hoping to meet or bump into at the Olympic Village?
Of course.
I mean, I was hoping maybe Lindsey Vonn would be there, but we heard that I think she's staying at like her own place up in the mountains. Like she's not staying in the Olympic Village, so I'm not sure if we're gonna have a chance to meet her. But like I have a friend that I actually met at a wedding a couple years ago who's a competitive figure skater who's like in the pairs. He's going to be there, but he's going to be in the Milan area and we're going to be in Cortina. So I'm not sure, like, because we're around the sliding sports. I think women's alpine and curling are the only things that are happening in Cortina. So I'm not sure.
It's got a little summer camp feel. Like you kind of know what's going on, you don't know what's going on, you're just showing up. Luke, how about you? Anybody in particular you're hoping to bump into?
Yeah, I mean, Ben made a good point. A lot of people don't realize just how separated and spread out this Olympics is. I mean, we are in Cortina 5 hours away from hockey, figure skating, speed skating over in Milan. And so, I'm a lifelong hockey fan. Any hockey player, pretty much any team there, I'd like to meet. Hopefully we'll get a chance at the closing ceremonies in Verona. But in our village, I mean, there's a lot of cool athletes between Schifrin and Lindsey Vonn, and then a lot of really good sliding sports athletes as well. So I think hopefully we're going to get a chance to know all of them really well. Especially think a lot of the sliding sports athletes they'll be in the village with us, and we might be doing in the recovery booths with the chair next to them, and in the village and things like that. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Okay, I wore a Sean Kemp USA jersey, which is a throwback to the Sonics, because it's the most USA thing I had for you. But the question that comes out of that is, if a Seattle athlete from another sport had to join your curling team, who would you pick and why? Maybe that's too weird of a question, but like, can you think of, and it could be all time, like when you were growing up or,
I would love for Cal Raleigh to be a part.
There we go. The dumper, just
get the big dumper to sweep some of our rocks. I don't think we would miss a shot.
That is awesome.
That's just me though.
It's me too.
I love it. It's great. That is awesome. What is the most Seattle thing about each of you? Quote unquote Seattle.
I like espresso a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
So rocking the Starbucks mug here. I do, drink a lot of espresso.
Yeah, in fairness, Luke has spent a little bit more time, right? Ben, you've been living in Minnesota for a while. I think you live with one of your other teammates, right?
I live with Danny Casper, our skip, who unfortunately is a big Yankees fan, so I have to live with that all the time. Me being a big Mariners fan, that can be a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But yeah, I mean, I also love coffee, Mariners fan. I also think my music taste definitely came from Seattle. Like I'm big on the hippie indie alternative music. It's definitely started from that, and I like the grunge too. And big fan of the outdoors and mountains, and I always find any excuse that I can to go back to the Pacific Northwest and go hiking and enjoy the outdoors.
Ben's hitting all of them. He's like the grunge, the outdoors, the coffee, the Mariners. I love it, Ben. That's awesome. I have a 15-year-old who's a freshman in high school, and he's sort of dipping into Nirvana now. It's very fun for me. To go back to first album and have him enjoy it. So, okay. You both love baseball. So this will be a fun question. And I could be wrong. Do you have walk-up music?
Sometimes.
Okay.
We have this like circuit called the Grand Slam of Curling.
Oh.
And they'll play, like they'll introduce all the teams before the games start, and they'll play a little video like on the Jumbotron of like all of us, and they'll have a song playing. I do not remember what song we had. We've had a couple different ones. I know we found one that was like the Ghost Man, like playing off of like Team Casper.
Yeah.
Our logo is like a ghost. And then also in the trials before the best of 3 game against Schuster, we had walkout music as we would come onto the sheet and before we played those games.
Okay, so if you each individually had a walk-up song, like it's baseball, right? Like Cal Raleigh coming to the plate, what would be your walk-up song?
Luke, you got an answer?
Yeah, no, sure, I'll go. Like I whatever Danny wants to do, as I say, but I'll go. I'm an EDM guy. I like the Drop from Bad, David Guetta.
Okay.
So that's that one gets you fired up.
Perfect. Every time you say David Guetta, I just think of that quarantine video where he was up on the roof by himself, just going. But that's a pretty.
It is an image.
Yeah, it's an image that I can't get out of my mind. Yeah.
Fair.
Ben, what about you?
I always think of Enter Sandman because I forget which player had that as a walk-up song, but I always thought that was sick.
It's Mariano Rivera.
That's
out
actually
of
Yankee.
Bullpen, right?
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I think I like your answer.
Danny would be proud.
He's so proud of you, Ben. He's gonna love this. We got to make sure he listens. Yeah,
I'm gonna change it to Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Classic.
Yeah.
Well, it's Brian. Do you have any other questions?
No, I could those are the 3 I really wanted to know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, best of luck. I mean, this is an amazing thing. You're not only representing, obviously, our country, but the region. And it was just so great to chat with you guys and get the lowdown on everything and learn more about you guys. And I think our listeners will agree that it was great to have you both on.
Yeah, you're gonna have some serious watchers now ready to watch some curling in February. So,
by the way, what's the best way to follow your journey? Like, if we were like, what's the best news source and that sort of thing? If someone was listening to this and said, "Well, I want to follow these guys now that they're in and that I've learned about."
We have social media accounts for our team. So like Team Casper on Instagram. We also have a Facebook. Same thing, Team Casper. If you look us up, you can find us pretty easily.
Perfect.
I would say those are the best one. And then like my personal social media, like Curling Cello Guy, Instagram. Luke, I know you have a Instagram. I can't remember your handle, but those would also
Luke
be
Violette.
Yeah.
Real complicated. Also, check out USA Curling and the Granite Curling Club of Seattle. There'll be a lot of cool stuff there, especially if anyone wants to try curling throughout the Olympics. That's the place to go. I think there'll be some watch parties too, like at some local pubs and breweries. There could be some really, really fun evenings there. And
are you guys going to be active at all on social media, or are you kind of going to be locked down?
So, good question. We've talked about this a lot. As individuals, we're going to kind of have a blackout while we're playing, but we're still going to be generating content to provide to managers of ours, which may or may not just be significant others. Our team page, we've got someone that's managing it. But yeah, we're going to keep the content stream rolling. Hopefully, be able to show a lot of really cool stuff to everybody. And then I think you mentioned it before, Kevin, too, that like just to watch, NBC's got it all. So Peacock's a great place. You can watch anything live, and then they'll have some primetime recaps.
Replay, I do have one final question, and I want to be careful not to offend either of you. Okay. But this relates to what Luke said about going and trying curling. Because I think the number one Olympic sport that people say, well, I think I could go be an Olympian. So you're both nodding, so you've probably heard this, right? Mm-hmm. It's different when they're like, well, I can't run fast enough, or I can't swim fast enough, or whatever. For whatever reason, curling's the one that's like, if I'm going to make the Olympics, I could go do that thing. Is that offensive to you guys when you hear that? How does that, I
think at one point it was, but like, I feel like we're so used to it at this point that we just, at least for me, I say something along the lines of like, okay, well then go out and try it. Let's take you to learn to curl and see how like easy it actually is. Because I have never taught somebody how to curl and them like immediately go, oh, this is easy. Every single person has been like, whoa, this is really way harder than I thought it would be. So, I mean, I have yet to see it happen. Maybe it will one day.
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, you guys have been doing this your whole life. This is not, it's not. Well, Ben, you came a little later than Luke, but Luke was doing it out of the womb. So it's a little different for Luke. But you have it in your family, your grandmother, Ben. I mean, it's in the blood for sure. Ben, real quick on a follow up on that, what is when they do it and they say this was really hard, what's the hardest part, do you think, for people when they first try it?
I think just getting into the delivery position, because you're basically like in a lunge, but you're like, if you're right-handed, your left foot is on like this Teflon slider that's really, really slippery. So just to like keep the balance on that and slide forward, and like there's like so many things you have to think about. You have to stay on your feet, get in the right position, like throw the rock hard enough to get it all the way to the other end. Just like thinking about all those things at once, I think is usually the hardest.
Like skates and skis have edges, right? So like it might be slippery in one direction, but you can kind of cut in the other way. Our sliders slippery, super slippery every direction, and you're just standing on that.
Wow.
And trying to balance basically on a point and while you're moving. And so, it's, I mean, you get used to it, right? And that's, I mean, we kind of embrace now. I mean, like Ben said, there's a period of time we were first getting started where it's like, oh, there it is, whatever. And we like that people think, hey, it's a great opportunity to come out and as close as they can be to an Olympian. And it's at the recreational level, like it's once you kind of learn how to slide, like there is a chance that you can throw a rock and it'll do exactly what you want it to do, just like we would. And the fitness in curling is really in the sweeping, and the sweeping adds margin for error on every shot, right? It doesn't necessarily, being in great shape doesn't necessarily just like allow you to make different kinds of shots. It does to an extent, but it's really just increasing your margin for error on every time. So over a long period of time, you're gonna be way more consistent, way more effective team. But you can play any random team of guys, and they might be able to make a few great shots without. And that's kind of something that we love in our sport.
Nice. So everybody who thinks they're going to go be an Olympian, you might need to put some time in. Go to the Granite Curling Club. Maybe you'll see Luke or Ben there after the Olympics. Hopefully, coming home with a medal. So we appreciate you guys very much for coming on. We'll be rooting for you, and people will be watching Seattle for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.